Falcon fans? It's your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about the future of the Atlanta Falcon quarterback position and what the Falcons potentially going to be doing this offseason. We're really going to find out here soon, but we're going to talk about it. Then I want to talk about one thing about quarterbacks where why don't franchises try to develop quarterbacks anymore? Just something that really interests me, and I'm going to talk about that today. So guys, if we have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about them. Please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So like I said, we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. But first, what I want to do, go over some quick Atlanta Falcon news. One thing that we already added another person to the defensive staff, Dave Huxtable, coming out of NC State. He's going to be a senior defensive assistant, have 66 years of coaching experience. He actually was the head coach for Ron Nielsen when it was at NC State. So he's bringing in somebody he trusts, he's familiar with, bringing in, help him on that staff. Like I said, it's going to be different for our defense, but I think it's going to be trying to keep some of that continuity. They're keeping Frank Bush on the roster, somebody who was here last year. Of course, they brought in Jerry Gray, of course, Ron Nielsen, and we want to see who else they bring in. But Ron Nielsen gets somebody that he definitely trusts, probably learned a lot from Dave Huxtable. His time he was working for him, but now it's going to be in reverse. He's actually going to be working for Ryan Nielsen. But bringing in somebody that you trust to help you build a defense that you want, in your first term being the actual defensive coordinator is something good. So that's good for this staff. Can't wait to see these guys get the rolling, and we'll see what happens. Who else they add later on this offseason. Other news. It's reported that Rashaan Evans and the Atlanta Falcons has mutual interest of him coming back. Probably the numbers, we just have to see if that's one of the things they want to do. He's one of the guys I talked about when we talked about the linebackers of bringing back Rashaan Evans. Like I said, somebody who's already knows the culture, led the team in tackles with 159 tackles this year. So bringing in Rashaan Evans would definitely be something good for these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, that's the quick news. Nothing else out there. Of course, you know, the Super Bowl is finally over. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason why I want to talk about the quarterback today, because looking at that Super Bowl, two great teams, great game overall. But when I was looking at it, I was looking at the quarterback play. And like I said, I always believe this. You can have the best team in the world, but your quarterback, the way your quarterback plays, because they're going to dictate a lot of what you'll be able to do, right? You got to be able to trust your quarterback. The guys got to be able to follow that quarterback. And I think if we watched the Super Bowl yesterday, if you look at what Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes were able to do, both of those guys led their team to try to win the game. Of course, coaching has a lot to do with it. I think Andy Reid, maybe I coached, the second-year coach from Philadelphia. But overall, I think the quarterback play is what stood out to me for the most part. And that's what we got to look at. You got to have a quarterback. We talk about team building and things like that. But in my opinion, you have to have a quarterback that you trust to be able to get you to where you need to be. All right, so that's why I'm talking about quarterbacks today. Okay, the state of the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. We all know that we have Desmond Ridder in tow. He's third round pick for us. He played the last 4 games of the season. He got better every game of his playing. I mean, you can see the progression. He got better and better over the last 2 games. He had a 99.9 quarterback rating. So you have to like what you've seen out of Desmond Ridder. But the question is, what the Atlanta Falcons going to do, right? Of course, they asked where they, committed Desmond Ridder. Of course, they're not going to give you that information about what they think about Desmond Ridder. They're going to have to decide what they're going to do with Marcus Mariota. He's still actually on the roster. They have until the new league year to decide if they're going to actually release him. If they do, of course, we already talked about that. They'll be able to recoup that cap space, about $12 million if they go ahead and release Marcus Mariota. In my opinion, I think that's the direction they're going to go in, because if you go look at most interviews, there's really not much mention about Marcus Mariota. So that's where the thing is going to be at. If you look out in free agency, of course, you've seen the news today that Derek Carr was released from the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's out there on the free agency market. He can sign with any team. Of course, some more other guys. You got Gardner Minshew, backup from the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Teddy Bridgewater, Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett. And then the big fish out there that will have to trigger a trade is Lamar Jackson. It was reported that the Ravens could consider, trading him if they was to get some kind of Godfather offer for Lamar Jackson. They maybe would consider trading him. So those are the options at quarterback, right? The question is, like I said, how committed are the Atlanta Falcons to Desmond Ridder? Does he fit into their plan? They're in year 3 of their plan. Does he fit in their plan? Did they see enough out the 4 games, to get Desmond Ridder to actually lead this team for the Atlanta Falcons? We heard from the owner. The owner said he's really impressed with Desmond Ridder. So it seems like he's on board to try to get a young man a chance. But like I mentioned, you got to be right on this, because if you don't have the quarterback that you need, you're going to actually not go that far. You can build a team. You can build a team around guys. And if you look at guys like Zach Wilson, had a pretty good solid team with the New York Jets, but just could not, do the things that he need to do. And did they quit on him too early? That's the question you want to ask about developing quarterbacks. This point in time, when you get drafted number 2 overall, number 1 overall, of course you're not going to have that much time, right? They want to be able to get their investment right out there right away. So these guys come in, they got to be ready to go, hit the ground running. The problem is when you're developing quarterbacks, you think about it's 3 points that you always got to think about when you get drafted, right? In the first round, especially 1 and 2. You're probably going to go to a bad team, right? Because that's why they're drafting at number 1 or number 2, because the team is really not that good. So you think about the right situations, right? You look at Trevor Lawrence went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. His first season, of course, he had a different head coach there, but he went to a bad season, and they played like a bad team. They actually put them back in, had a number 1 draft again the following year when they drafted Trevon Walker. So you just look at Trevor Lawrence came in, supposed to be the savior, number 1 overall draft pick, but went to a bad team. And no matter how good the young quarterback can be, if the team is not that good, he's not expected to actually bring that whole team up by himself. So that's one thing we got to think about, the correct situation. You think at the situation when a guy like Trey Lance went in, the San Francisco 49ers had a good team. They actually went up and they drafted him. The same will be said for a guy like Patrick Mahomes. All right, they had Alex Smith. They was in the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs came up and actually drafted Patrick Mahomes. So he went to the right situation. So the right situation is always going to be good. Not just for a quarterback, but in my opinion, for any young rookie coming in, they got to get to the right situations, right? The team is going to be bad. They got to have good coaching and somebody that's going to believe in them. The next point is it's got to be a stable environment. And what I mean by that is that you can't have a coach come in when you draft it, then the next season you have another coach. That's what happened to a guy like Justin Fields. He come in, get drafted 1 year, the next year got an entire new coach, new offense, new offensive coordinator. Things change. And now They never got the number one overall pick, and everybody's already talking about drafting another quarterback. But you didn't really give Justin Fields a chance to prove that he can actually play in the NFL, because look at the situation he's put in. So the environment is not stable for the young Justin Fields. He showed flashes that he has the potential to actually probably be a starter in this NFL. But if they already talking about drafting another guy that's coming out of college, it's going to be put in the same situation as Justin Fields. So you have to think about that. So the stable environment got to be put in the right situation. And then the last thing is how much time you actually going to give these guys to develop, right? Like I said, a guy like Zach Wilson came in. Did he give enough time to develop? We really don't know. I mean, from what we've seen, that it could have been a bust, right? We don't know. But maybe another situation for Zach Wilson, he get moved to another team, might work out better for him. But how much time do you give a guy like number 2 overall getting drafted like Zach Wilson, right? Look at a guy like Jordan Love. His situation. He's been he's been in the league for a minute. Can't get on the field, wants to play. We have no idea. He's almost, through his whole entire rookie contract and have not seen the field yet. Those are some of the things you have to think about when you're drafting a quarterback, especially in the first round. Understandably, why Green Bay Packers did what they did. They probably thought Aaron Rodgers was halfway out the door. But, I mean, it's come to a point now where they didn't use their investment at all. First round pick, never seen the field. And they still waiting on the decision to see what Aaron Rodgers is going to do this year. But it always, in my opinion, if you go back and look at the way they used to do it, a guy like Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. When he came in, he was ready, right? A guy like Peyton Manning came in and he just went through the ups and downs because they saw the potential in him and they let him learn that way. A guy like Troy Aikman, the same way, went through the ups and downs and they believed in him. And Troy Aikman actually got benched and got brought back in. So these are the things you got to think about when you're talking about developing quarterbacks. So when we go back to the Atlanta Falcons, we had 4 games to see with Desmond Ridder. Like I said, you saw the progression in each game. A young man that played almost 50 games in college. He has a lot of experience playing football. That's one thing you cannot take away from a guy like Desmond Ridder. You look at what Brock Purdy did. Played a lot of games in college. Came in for the San Francisco 49ers in a good situation. And he was poised. He looked like he had played football a lot of games. That's what you want to see. That's what I believe in a guy like Desmond Ridder. Somebody who has played a lot of games. Is going to come in and put in the work. Is a winner. He won at this school he played at in Cincinnati. So these are some of the traits that you can't teach, especially if you want to try to speed up the process. Like a guy like Justin Fields didn't play that many games in college, right? You bring him in, the game is different. That pocket is different. The speed of the players are different. The windows where you throw the ball is different. And then you change his offensive coordinator twice, and then you expect a guy like Justin Fields to already showing his brilliance, right? Just don't work like that. Patrick Mahomes went to the perfect situation. Perfect team, already established, perfect coach. Somebody's going to let him be himself and build an offense around him. 6 years later, look at what Patrick Mahomes has done, right? You seen a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Like I said, first season didn't do so well. Came in the next season, got a good, competent coach that came in, put his system around. You see why he was drafted number 1 overall, right? These are some of the things you got to do. It's not going to always be the number 2, number 1, and they're going to hit the ground running. Like I said, Zach Wilson could be potential bust. Look at a guy like Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall. Still haven't found that stride. Sam Darnold is the other guy that was drafted for the Jets, right? So the Jets seem like they just can't get it right. But these are some of the things about, in my opinion, if you're trying to develop a quarterback, he has to be put in the right situation, stable environment, and you got to figure out how much time you're going to give the young quarterback. Right. So saying all that here with the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder only had 4 games, and in my opinion, I don't think that's enough time to determine either yay he's going to be our franchise quarterback or no he's not going to be our franchise quarterback. 4 games is not enough to determine that. You have to look at the things I talked about, the traits. He's shown his leadership. He's shown that he can learn. He's shown the progression that he made through the 4 games. And those four teams he played had pretty good solid defenses, different defenses that were scheming up against him. So we started progression. So the question is for the Atlanta Falcons, we know they're going to have to bring in a quarterback. A veteran quarterback maybe. Some of these guys I just mentioned off on the free agency side. Or will they do something real drastic? Like we want to be able to go out and get a proven guy like a Lamar Jackson and bring him in. Doing that, in my opinion, it's going to shift from their vision that they got now, team building. Because yes, the cap, you can fit anybody's salary in the cap. If you look at what the New Orleans Aints doing right now, they got so much money up on over the cap, right? But they was talking about trading for Derek Carr, and people like, how are they going to be able to do that? Because they got good capologists over there with the Aints, and they're going to freaking figure it out. So the same thing could be said with the Atlanta Falcons. If you go in, if you just make the decision, if you want to actually go out and trade for a guy like Lamar Jackson, yes, we have the cap space to sign him, but we still want to be able to build a team around him. And I think they still could be able to do that. Yes, you're going to give up some draft capital for the future if you decide to do that. In my opinion, I don't think they should. But like I said, we don't know the direction they're going in because we really don't know how committed they are to Desmond Ridder. In closing, I feel like come here within about a month time frame, a little bit less than a month on new league year, we'll decide when free agency start, the draft start, how committed they are to Desmond Ridder. Because who they bring in as quarterback, will they go pursue veterans like a Derek Carr, like a Jimmy Garoppolo? Or are they going to actually wait to the draft and draft somebody in the first round? We don't know, right? We don't know how committed they are, to this team. But one thing we do know, we're going to find out here soon. So, guys, let me know what you think about, why franchise just so quick to start over at the quarterback position. I understand because you're trying to find that guy. You want to find your guy. But when you put quarterbacks in situations where they was drafted, they had the potential, but you never let them reach their potential because you're so quick to pull the trigger on them. And you're starting over and over again. So you have to put it up to the quarterback. At the end of the day, yes, the quarterback has to have talent, right? That's the one thing. The team has to have talent as well. And then you have to have a good coach and a good environment for the young quarterback. Those are the things that, in my opinion, if the Atlanta Falcons take this approach with Desmond Ridder, I think he could be our quarterback of the future. Still too early to tell. Like I said, there's only 4 games, but let's see what happens. You are not going to be able to win. I just like I said, just looking at the game yesterday, yes, the Philadelphia Eagles had the best defense in the league. They put up 70 sacks, and that defense really didn't do anything in the Super Bowl yesterday. It was all the quarterback. It was all offense. That's what we saw in the Super Bowl, right? You have to realize that your franchise quarterback can take you to where you want to go. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think about the Atlanta Falcons quarterback situation. Do you think Desmond Ridder is the guy? Do you think they should go after a guy like Lamar Jackson? What veteran quarterback do you think they're going to bring in? And in the end, is Atlanta Falcons a good place to help develop a young quarterback like Desmond Ridder? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.